this billionaire and this billionaire on a yacht. And that was one of the things I said. It was like, let's just rewind here. That's not what the business community is. 98% of businesses in BC are small businesses. That's what drives our community. No, if you're not having pineapple, you're not invited to the chamber. That I'll put out there.
Okay. Yes. All right. Welcome. This is live from Langley BC, the #1 podcast in Langley, officially, where we talk about local news, events, and businesses so that nobody else ever misses out on any of the special events that happen in Langley on a monthly and annual basis from this point on. Today's guest has had a very significant role over the last year as the CEO of the Greater Langley Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Cory Redekop. Thanks so much for joining us here today, Cory. Before we get into it, I mentioned this when you came in. I always thought Chamber of Commerce was a secret society.
Yeah.
And you told me just now that it kind of is.
It kind of is, yeah. You don't have the handshake, so I can't show you that.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah. No, but we're membership based, so we do a bunch of stuff that's community wide, economic development, kind of front facing. But as a membership organization, a lot of the stuff we do is exclusive for our members. But there's 1,000 of them, so it's not that exclusive. But it's kind of there's a big tent. So once you're in it, then everything opens.
Right. Okay. Behind the scenes a little bit, and then I was watching one of your videos, and I guess you've been there for just over a year now.
Just coming up on a year at the end of the month.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And then so what is the Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, couldn't tell you. I have no idea. So I've been at the Chamber here in Langley for about a year. Before that, I was 12 years at the Burnaby Board of Trade, so same kind of thing. So I'm evangelical about chambers and what they do and their role. So so a chamber is a business association. We're the business association for the city and the township. So we're Surrey to Abbotsford, River to Border, and really chambers have existed. We've been around for 92 years. They exist to create a platform for businesses to come together, to collaborate, to connect, to network, and then to tackle problems that they all might be facing, kind of thing. So kind of that community building and then that advocacy piece, those are kind of our two main tracks. And that's what kind of chambers, boards of trades do across the region, across the country. So I'm happy to be kind of leading that effort here in Langley. Mm-hmm.
And I saw, you guys are the voiced advocates, the champions of Langley businesses.
And it's a blessing and a curse because, with the chambers, it's everybody. So we'll never, I always say this, we'll never out-manufacture the manufacturers group, or we'll never out the left-hand accountant group. Like there's going to be sectors that serve their members and they're very niche. The chamber's open to everybody, all businesses, which is great, but then it means that we're engaging on every possible topic. So that can be really micro local stuff around zoning and planning that the township of the city's doing, all the way up. I was on CBC the last couple of days talking about the federal strike for public servants and what that's going to mean. So it can be anything from really local big things, any sector, but it's important that we've got businesses' voice in the mix, because let me tell you, I've been to enough roundtables where there'll be a seniors rep and a student rep and a labor rep and a this rep, and there's no one there from business. So when they say, what does everyone think about X? And we get a crappy decision, well, that's why we got a decision that's not the best for employers, because there was no one at that table giving them feedback. So that's our role, is to make sure that at least that's in the hopper, that those concerns are being heard, and we push for that at all levels, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. And then, the only real, I guess, experience I've had with you guys is just watching you guys behind the scenes on social media when someone posts your great events that you have, low key. And I always thought it was something where you tried to meet at specific businesses and do launches, but I guess it's more so where you do meetings. And what do you usually talk about in those meetings? Yeah, exactly.
So I think we kind of have we do about 60 events a year, and nobody goes to them but me and my poor events lead. So I wouldn't recommend it. But we try to make it so you can pick and choose. So like just last night we had the RCMP, the OIC come in and speak, and they had a whole panel from all the different branches of the RCMP here in Langley talking about what they're doing around fraud and crime and business and what their role is. And so that was one of our kind of more speaker events. So we've had CEO panels, we had government leaders come and talk about things. So those are more kind of speaker events where businesses can get access to decision makers, leaders, that type of thing. But a lot of the fun stuff is just the networking event. So we've done things at a lot of the breweries and wineries and the restaurants, and just a chance to create that platform for businesses to come together and just connect, because again, I'm a huge believer in connecting with the community broadly. I think you can be in business, you can have your head down, and you're making payroll, or you're making your widgets, or you're doing whatever you're doing. I think there's a lot of value in just every once in a while looking up, seeing who else is around. And I always say that's that exponential power of networking. Like, it's not, if I make really good widgets, it's like, do you want this widget? No? Okay, well, screw you, and off I go. Well, that's not the point. The point is, maybe all your clients want my widgets. Maybe a bunch of people in your family want my widgets. Maybe we service similar clients. So that's that kind of networking. An old friend from my days in Burnaby always said, you don't network in a room, you want to network through a room. So you don't look in a room and try to target who's going to buy whatever I'm selling. It's who might I have connections with, who might work with similar clients that I do, and maybe there can be a partnership there. And that's where that exponential power comes in. So we try to create those platforms where, whether they're casual or they're more structured, so people can make those relationships and build that.
That's interesting. I've never thought of it like that, and that makes total sense, because you don't want to limit yourself to whoever's in that room, because potentially they already bought the widget from you that you were selling. So
or picking, like, I mean, right now my home insurance is up. But if you asked me 6 months ago, I would, I don't need home insurance. But the guy I met talking about home insurance 6 months ago, who I just built a relationship with, now I'm going to him to get my home insurance done. So it wasn't a transactional thing, it was a relationship thing. And that's the point. Because if you just limit to yourself to who wants what I'm selling right now at this moment at this networking event in this brewery, you're probably not going to get a lot of hits. Whereas if you look, well, who can I build a relationship with and just kind of be friends with, be colleagues with, and then bloom it from there, right?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And it's funny you mentioned breweries, because something
funny how I do that. Yeah.
We've talked about we talked to Tap House, and we've talked to other breweries that are potentially jumping on here. And what I find a lot with the brewery community is that they're very much into the networking. They're very much into building the community, even though they're the direct competitors of each other.
That's always cool to see when you see that. I mean, you see it sometimes. It makes certain sense in certain sectors, like the car dealerships all go on the same strip, and if you're buying a car, you want everyone to go to that. So that makes sense. But even in that scenario where they're not maybe geographically located, but yeah, the breweries, the wineries, the cidery here in Langley, like, they all get along quite well. They're doing the craft beer week thing in May, and they all kind of come together at the table. I think they meet like every week or something, and they figure out, well, how can we, as a sector, as an industry, because you got to think of everybody, it's that rising tide thing, right? And that works across all business. If the more successful we are, the more people we have wanting to come to Langley, wanting to do business here, it's good for everybody. Even if the person who moves in next is your competitor, but you want people coming in, because that's, I know a lot of the problems and challenges we have here are growing pains, and we got to fix those. But let me tell you, it's a lot better than having shrinking pains. And if you go to some of the communities up north where a mill's closed or a factory shut down, I bet you they'd be crying out to and try to get some traffic problems or some growing pains, because it's the other way is no better. So I think the more people we have coming in and engaging and connecting, the better. So yeah, the brewery community, they're fantastic, because I've seen that from my perspective, the things that they can do together and collaborate, and I think that makes total sense. If it works for one of them and one's successful, well, then if I'm at Trading Post, then there's 5 roads, and I'll go around the corner and check them out. That's a good thing for everybody.
Yeah, you're not going to always go to the same spot every time, and now you have an opportunity to go check out multiple spots, and you see which one you like best, and maybe actually at the same time they're all great. They just have different nights that they're good at
or different things. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like if I want to go for a nice meal with my family in Fort Langley, well, I'm hitting Trading Post stop. But me and my brother-in-law have a corner in 5 roads we always go to. Like you pick and choose what serves what you're doing. So you can we can love more than one.
Yeah, it's funny though, because they have become the hub for meetings and events like you're saying, and I think it's just like the atmosphere overall, and now I feel like I'm pushing breweries all the time, because even in my last open house, I brought some Brookswood Brewing beers, the last 2 I've had there, and I just go and I pick them up, and then I have them at the showings, and everyone's like, why is there beers here? I've never gotten offered a beer.
Exactly.
I'm like, well, when you buy here, you can walk across the street and you go to the new brewery, microbrewery that is Brookswood Brewing. They make all of their baked goods at Cedar Brook, the bakery right next door there. So I tell them about the community and how everybody just helps everybody.
Well, I think that's a point for your sector. Obviously, this is what matters. Because when you're talking about who do you want to buy this, move into this neighborhood or buy into this area, like I'm imagining what you're saying here is what makes that compelling area is the businesses. And I think that's the message that I will yell out to the top of my lungs until I'm sick of hearing it. That's what adds flavor. That's what adds character to our community. So like whenever you hear somebody droning on like me about taxes or regulations or something business wants, it's because if those businesses go out of business, if you don't have 5 roads there or Brookswood or if some of our shops and things shut down, if Latimer opens and it's all empty, then it's not that great a place to live. And then who wants to move to Langley? What makes it cool, what makes it fun is those communities, those cool cafes, the patios, the breweries. So we have to make sure that we're supporting that, because otherwise we're kind of losing a bit of the soul of what makes a place you want to live where you want. That's why you want to live there, right? That's the whole point. It's not just because the sidewalks are nice and the roads are paved. You got to have some other things.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what everyone kind of ends up saying when they come on here and they ask them why they're in Langley. They say things like, it's because it's that blend between city living and country living.
Yeah, exactly.
And the European style where you have the shops at the bottom like Latimer, where you can go down there and you can grab your coffee, grab whatever, maybe some minor groceries that you need instead of driving two to 5 minutes away. Maybe sitting in traffic for another 5.
Yeah.
So, it gives you that different vibe anyways.
Well, that's what's going to be cool. Obviously, Latimer's a huge, the biggest development, but the plans now, I mean, the township's just got their terms of reference for their 200th visioning committee or whatever they're calling it. But what's going to happen on 200th and 80th, like, oh my God, that's going to be such a cool intersection. On the whole corridor, there's so much opportunity and growth. And coming from Burnaby like I did, I spent 12 years working in Metrotown, so this idea of density and creating commercial opportunities in the bottom, that's nothing new to me. And I think given the constraints we have in Langley, I mean, that it's not only a desirable way of building out, it's the necessity we have, because you can't build in 3/4 of the city or the township because of the ALR stuff. So we're going to have to put our density here, but it doesn't have to be something that we have to swallow like a bad pill. It can be something if we design it properly, which is a really cool high street, all up 200th. And then you've got cascading from there, all the houses and all the different forms. So you have people who want the condos, great, you want the townhouse, great. We'll still have some single family, and then you've got more of a workable community. So I think we're getting there. I think we've had to grow very fast compared to maybe the Tri-Cities or Burnaby, who've had 30 years, 40 years they planned it out, and it slowly evolved to that. We've had to jumpstart this pretty quick, but I think we'll get there.
And with your experience in Burnaby, I want to touch on this. Obviously, what happened there and all the Tri-Cities didn't happen overnight.
Yeah,
it didn't happen it didn't even happen in 10 years. It's kind of started there probably like 20, 30, 40 years ago. But did you grow up in Burnaby?
No, I'm Surrey, Coquitlam, and now Langley.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So, but you with that mindset of seeing cities grow and businesses grow in those cities, I guess your last experience was in Burnaby. How would you say Langley stacks up against Burnaby and how they're managing everything over there?
Well, I think we're at apples and oranges. We're in 2 different stages of development. So I think there's the thing that's exciting about Langley is the potential. Is that we have, like in other parts of the community, it's redevelopment and you're tearing something down and putting something up. There's so much greenfield here. Like I'm where I live is just up on 208th, so so that's 8 blocks between 208th and here, and that was all fields and meadows and butterflies and things, and there was nothing there even just 6-7 years ago. And now there's actually whole communities there, and so I'm a bit of a YIMBY kind of yes in my backyard person, because I wouldn't have a place to live if somebody had said, oh well, you can't put that townhouse there. But I mean, we're able to create things out of fields and things that there's nothing there right now, so the potential is so much higher, and that's where I think that the opportunity is. And I think what we're seeing coming out of the local government now, and with some of the planning on, as I mentioned, with the 200 thing, like you're starting to get that thinking of, okay, well, what do we want the community to look like, and then how do we plan for that? And I think that's something that we can, because we know where our growth is going to take us. We know with SkyTrain coming in, like we know what's going to be there infrastructure-wise. So then, how do we plan to make sure that we're building appropriately around that? So I think we're on I'm optimistic with the track we're on. I think we'll when this is all said and done and SkyTrain opens and 10 or 15 years, a lot of the development has infilled. I think we'll be pleased with what we see.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are skeptical because of how it's gone so far, but realistically, like you said, growing pains, it needed to happen fast, and now we have some time to step back and plan a little bit better, because we have that flexibility, that clean slate ultimately to build on places that have nothing. So complete flexibility, whereas other cities, they're probably tearing down substantial buildings, and then they have to rebuild on the same footprint.
And that's the thing. Yeah, when we do 200th or 208s, you can do the setback. So we're still able to kind of, okay, now the building's going to go back here, so we can put the extra lane in. We can put, hopefully, BRT, if you're listening, TransLink can go down 200th, and we can put a bike lane in, and you can get all the stuff that you want, because we're just now building that. Whereas in Vancouver, the buildings are right here. There's nothing you can do about that. You've only got so many lanes. So I mean, I'm not saying that there were no bumps in the road. I mean, I'm on 208th, and I talk to my members, and they know exactly if you want to get up and down there to try to get to a business or get to an appointment or get home after work, like it's a nightmare. So there's challenges we need to solve, and I think there's a lot of eyes on this now. So I mean, we have to identify where these gaps are and fix them and actually address these things. But I think we should be erring on optimism for the future, not pessimism. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everything ends up working out at the end of the day, and it's a slow roll, but with the right people that we do have in place and that I believe in anyways, I'm hoping that is true. Have, like I said, some of them on here, and we've talked about 208th. That's a hot topic. We talked about the 200th plan before they kind of announced it. So that's, it's crazy how they've now changed, they've adapted before it even started to break ground. Right. And the plan they had in place before was, you'd think reasonable. And now they've actually built on top of that. And they said now it's instead of 400 meters, they've pushed it to another 800 meters. So that gives a lot of space for those higher density opportunities along 200th. And now you have, potentially at one point we're going to be, low rises, maybe 6 stories, could potentially be somewhere around like 20 stories. So that'll be interesting to see. So when you have, so you focus a lot on helping businesses kind of help zone their like the zoning around their business and.
Well, I think we don't get involved in individual cases really all that much. I think more what we're concerned about is kind of that broader vision. So that's why I'm pleased when I see things like the 200th thing. Like you're planning for where we can then create opportunities, or there's some talk they're looking at what they can do around on Fraser Highway for industrial land, and I'll talk about industrial land till I'm blue in the face because we need more of that. That's more where our game is. It's not.
Where do you think we should put some of that?
Well, I think we need to find these underutilized areas where, so on Fraser Highway, I forget the streets that they've blocked off or they've got up between.
The production area.
But even for on the way to Aldergrove, there's a bunch of stuff that's industrial land, but it's not wildly intensive. So I know the city's looking at, or the township's looking at a plan for there. But we look at when I go and tour our members that are up in Gloucester in 272 and 268, that kind of area. Like we need to be figuring out how do we. There's a parcel that's going now, but like how do we figure out how do we add that growth, that opportunity, that space there? Because there's no, like, if you're trying to get industrial space for whether it's a warehouse or a manufacturing floor or something where you can't put that at Latimer. It's got to go in industrial land. That's solid gold. You can't find that anywhere in the region. So anything we can do to build more of that opportunity for business to move into, we have to be trying to find those opportunities to do that. And so if there's land that's, we've got the ALR thing, which is separate, but if there's land which is underutilized, which we can maybe be doing more with, that's something that we're keen to watch and to be engaged with. How do we plan for that? How do we support those kind of strategic land use planning kind of things? So because that's where the employment's going to go, and if we don't have that, then that's where you start to see some of the negative externalities. So you can't locate your warehouse here. Well, then you're moving that out to
Chilliwack
or even further up into the interior. Or what we're seeing now is ridiculous. Is you're seeing companies kind of get stuff. There's nowhere that they can do anything in the Lower Mainland, so they're kind of getting it shipped into Calgary or into the interior, doing stuff with it, and then they're shipping it right back to the port. So like we're being bypassed completely by this economic activity because there's nowhere we can do it here because we're running out of industrial space. So
yeah, everyone says the residential land is hard to come by, but commercial properties fly because
you know this, yeah, exactly. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. So the chamber doesn't get involved so much in. Bill wants to do some tenant improvements or wants to convert this from here to here. If Bill's a member and wants to talk about that, we'll certainly talk about that. But it's more on when we're looking at the bigger picture kind of stuff on that kind of land use piece. That's where we're interested in, just making sure that we have those building blocks, the DNA right, and then the private sector can come in and do that. And that's the point to note as well, is that when we're talking about all this stuff about growth and development, you got to create the table for them to come in, but it's the private sector that then comes in and builds that and takes the leases out and opens the patios. That's a piece to remember as well. We have to make sure that we're getting the conditions right so that somebody wants to invest and take that risk and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that opens up my eyes to what you guys do a little bit better, because I thought you guys were always helping promote businesses and stuff like that, but now it makes a lot of sense. You guys are more about the planning and future ideas of where something like that would go.
And I think it's on everything. So I said we're right now we've got 160,000 people on strike, and so you can't get a passport, you can't get temporary foreign workers done, you can't get immigration things. So
isn't that the taxes?
The CRA, their business.
So what's going on with that? Because let's talk about that, because you were on the news for that. So
yeah, exactly. So and that's again where I want to make sure that we're bringing the voice of business, because again, like when you're watching CBC all day, they're kind of getting one side of a story perhaps. I want to make sure that we're bringing the side from the business community. So I've been talking to using the media on this one to try to get the message across that we need to negotiate a settlement, get back to the table. CRA is closed now, so you can't get if you have their business inquiry line, first they said it was going to be delayed. Now it's just shut down. So if you had a question around your GST remittance or your business taxes, well, good luck, because there's no one going to answer it. Not that they answered it before. It was always an hour wait and nobody knew what they were talking about. But it's now that's gone. If you had a business trip coming up and you don't have your passport, you're out of luck. And let alone your trip, your summer trip, your summer vacations.
Yeah.
I mean, your passports are not being issued now, and immigration, we already have a huge backlog. That's shut down. They're not doing processing applications as fast. They're not doing in-person interviews. The temporary foreign worker program is only operating in certain sectors. Ag is one of them, which is good, because I know a lot of ag businesses use temporary foreign workers, but even that's going to be delayed. So there's implications on all that kind of stuff.
And what's the purpose of the strike?
Well, it's a union negotiations, collective bargaining.
Okay.
So they're looking at wage and working conditions and all sorts of things. And I'm not going to cast judgment on any of that kind of stuff, other than this is the last thing we need. Like, it's, I guess,
after we just got everything back and rolling.
Well, I've been here in Langley for a year, and in that year, like, I've not looked up and seen something coming from a government that's been positive, or a help to business. So, like, the sick days, the extra staff, the EHTs going up, payrolls going up, the budgets are billions, and it's just been one thing after the other. So now it's like, now I've got to now if CRA wants me to do something and I can't get anyone on the phone. It's just one more barrier. So that's the thing. None of these things are ever the thing that's going to kill a business or drive them crazy, or it's just this drip piece that gets really frustrating, where you don't see a lot of other efforts coming from levels of government to say, okay, we realize we're raising all of this stuff on you, so we're going to lower this, so we're going to offer you this. There's just not a lot of that. So the strike, and that's between the workers and their employer, but it is just, let's have eyes wide open. There are implications on this for the services that businesses and people need. So let's try to get back to the table and solve it there, so that we don't solve it on the picket line. That's been my message.
Yeah, because I feel like when it gets to that point, it's a little bit too late. It just everything takes way longer. Yeah. Everything's backlogged at that point.
Everyone digs in. Well, we saw that in the summer with the liquor distribution strike. Like, that took months to get the stock back and to get things. And that was here you are in sunny September, and you got restaurants that can't serve any liquor on their patios because they've run out of a lot of the stuff. So it's like that, there's a situation where it actually has on the ground business impacts, and we have to be aware that these things aren't these aren't victimless issues, and they have a right to bargain, and no one's begrudging them that. But then let's make sure that we've exhausted everything at the table we can before we take that step, because then, that's your point, then it's cats in the bag, and now we've got to deal with these other problems. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I can imagine some of those businesses, that's their business, is literally like breweries, tap houses, or anything like that. I mean, I figured some of those are local, so they probably don't have to do too much in that regard with distribution. That would be more liquor stores.
Even private liquor stores couldn't get stuff. A lot of hospitality businesses, you can only get certain things delivered from the breweries. So there's certain product SKUs you could have gotten, but other things you couldn't. So and those were gone. So yeah, if you wanted to get a nude or a neutral, good luck, because those are all have to go through the liquor distribution branch. So then once they're gone, they're gone. So if that was your weekend special for happy hour at your pub, well, then you don't have that product to sell, and that was the problem.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, no, it all ends up putting more strain on business owners, and business owners like they need a voice like you guys, for sure, because otherwise nobody's heard if any of those problems comes up.
Well, because it's not one of the things I've learned after, not that I needed to learn it, it should be relevant to everybody or evident to everybody, but it's running a business isn't easy. That was one of the things I was hoping we learned, and we did, but I think the lessons kind of fading in time. Out of the pandemic, it wasn't months and months and months before we were talking about, crap, we need a wage subsidy, we need some support, these businesses are on a knife's edge. It was 2 weeks. And then suddenly people couldn't make payroll, and we couldn't keep the lights on, and businesses were on that edge of well, I don't know if I can go on. It was 2 or 3 weeks of being shut down. And so the message we were trying to tell at all levels of government and everyone is, a lot of businesses, especially small businesses, are not sitting on some big pot of money. These are people who it's a slog. It's a hard thing. They're passionate about it, which is why they do it, and they loved being in business and being entrepreneurs. But it's not. We have this vision. When I was on CBC over the weekend, all the callers were talking about Galen Weston and all this billionaire and this billionaire on a yacht, and that was one of the things I said. It was like, let's just rewind here. That's not what the business community is. 98% of businesses in BC are small businesses. That's what drives our community. It's who gives you a job. It's who sponsors the local little league team. It's the people who are opening the patios that you want to go visit on the weekend. Those are the people we're talking to, and they're not on a yacht, I can guarantee you. So we got to make sure that we're thinking about how we can make sure that they're successful too. And again, I don't understand. I don't never like to see this pitting of business and the people. I call crap on that. It's businesses are people. It's the people in our community, and we need to be supporting them.
Yeah, it's funny how immediately people just assume that everyone has a spare fund ready to go for 6 months of wash money to pay off
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. Exactly, right.
Small
Like
businesses too, of all people. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, no, it's interesting how everything's kind of worked out after the pandemic. Everyone's told me, their stories, and those businesses that I feel like thrived, they adapted really quick. So, I mean, obviously that's in the past, but have you seen anything like from your side about any specific type of business that ended up coming out of it, and any inspiring stories or anything like that?
Well, I think it was to your point, like that. And the word pivot has been overused, but that idea of when you saw, on the hospitality sector, like people doing the grocery packs, and suddenly you could get the dough and the toppings for this pizza, and they're letting you make it at home. Like all these things where they're trying to figure out what is it that I do? I make whatever. How do I? And I can't have these people come and get it here. How do I? So that creative thinking that displayed entrepreneurialism it was on display there, showing them how you can do that. I mean, it was interesting in our sector or in the chamber world because you had certain businesses that weren't that impacted, or their sectors were just going gangbusters, and because of certain demands that people had during the pandemic when they were locked out. And then I remember being on the phone call to travel agents who were in tears with me, being, well, what the heck am I going to do? And even if we opened everything up tomorrow, I don't get paid until the cruise ship actually leaves in 16 months. So like, what am I going to do? And those were really hard conversations to have, as you can imagine. So I mean, there was definitely a lot. It was a crazy, challenging time. But yeah, in the chamber world, like there's a lot of challenge. But it was there's tons of examples, tons of stories of businesses that kind of figure things out, pivoted, tried something new, slap things together, because that's what business owners do. That's what entrepreneurs do. They figure it out, and that's in their DNA.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, something I like to do on this channel is and talk to the business owners and see how we can collaborate. In this scenario, it's a little bit different, right? Because you don't have that same type of we could still collaborate. I think there's ways that we could definitely work together.
Yeah.
Highlighting some of those businesses that you are in touch with, having some of your other members on that specialize in different fields. And yeah, I don't know, like, what are you doing right now with the chamber? Because you wouldn't promote it. That's the thing, right? That's one of the questions. Like, what do you do for marketing? But realistically, you don't. Like,
well, it's tricky. Yeah, I think because we don't have a product. It's a relationship, and I think that's a unique thing. I'm not selling a mattress to somebody. I'm selling, hey, do you want to belong to the chamber? And I mean, I think if you're all the things that a business have done to get themselves up and running, and you've got your all the things all the costs and things you put into, all the effort in your marketing. Like, for me, again, being in it for 13 years, like, I think being a chamber member is in my mind a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you want to have that in your back pocket? I mean, the chambers are there as allies and advocates and promoters and amplifiers of what local businesses are doing, and it is just one more channel and piece of real estate that you can use for things. So in our chamber, we've got communication channels that we open up to all of our members, and we help share what they're doing and tell their success stories and promote what they're doing. Because when I ask my 1,000 members, well, what do you see the chamber doing? They want us to talk about who else is doing business in the community, because that's why they're part of the chamber. So I don't know why you'd want to, if there's a network of 1,000 businesses that is connecting, meeting, talking, collaborating, why you'd purposely not want to be part of that. So I mean, my goal of my last year here has really been kind of to engage with the community, get our face out there, get back out into talking with our members and with the new businesses that are coming out here, and just make sure that people realize that the chamber exists. Yes, we've been around for 92 years, but we're still relevant, we're still current, we're doing a lot of great things, and it's a great community to be a part of. And because I mean, I came to the chamber network pretty a while ago, so pretty kind of short out of university and stuff, and you kind of think you know everything, but you don't know anything. But with the chamber network, I learned that I don't have to know everything, because if I have a question about something, I can phone you and ask it, or I can ask this person, or I met this guy who works in that space. Let me ask him. Otherwise, I have to have all the answers. So no, what I can do is build a network around me that I can go to them for advice or suggestions, or how did you tackle this problem? And I think there's a lot of power in having that around you. Otherwise, again, you're kind of adrift on your own. So, but yeah, no, we're always, that's why happy to come and chat here, because we're a membership organization, but we're not a closed shop. Like, we want to engage. People can come. We do 3 or 4 events a month. People can come and check those out as they're non-members. We definitely have guest passes for people to come and take a look, and all the stuff we do, all our communication channels, our updates, our newsletters, those are all, everyone can sign up for those and get that information. So we do have a broader community role. We don't want it to be strictly paywalled or firewall kind of thing. But we are a membership organization, so a lot of the stuff we do is member exclusive, or kind of limited in that sense. But we want to, it's not a secret society. We're not
Okay,
Knights of
yeah,
Columbus
okay,
or something. So
okay,
the
so
door's open a little bit. The door's open, everyone. You can come in, and we'd love to have you.
There's not a limited amount of seats. It's kind of as long as
the chamber's not full. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. That makes sense now, because you know what, and doing this podcast, it's definitely opened up my eyes, because I've been able to talk to people from all different industries, and I've heard their stories and their struggles, and just from that, I've been able to implement that in my own business, even though it's completely unrelated. So being able to do that, now I definitely see the value in having even somebody mentioned that there's some sort of like meetup groups, right, where you have your you kind of have like a referral network of business owners.
Yeah.
There's one seat for everybody. I don't know if you've heard of those. But basically, you guys are all there to help each other, and you're like, that's a brewery. We always go back to that.
We've got a theme here,
brewery
sponsored
seat.
by breweries,
brewery seat. There's a dentist seat. There's so then now everybody kind of goes to or pushes that dentist. Same thing with the brewery and other restaurants and whatnot. So I saw the value in that right away, and so something like that, that's a place where you can meet those kind of people, and you can all collaborate on different ideas. Like even here, I think it was one of the last episodes, sat down with, it was Barley Merchant, and behind the camera here, producer, has connections with, Westland and agency and all that. And they were having a chat about Sky Helicopters and, Barley Merchant after we talked here for a while, and how they might be able to collaborate. And I'm like, wow, it's cool, because like, there's just 3 of us. Imagine when there's 50 of us, where we can all have those chats.
Yeah, well, and that's that thing. Is just if you can open yourself up and be open to talking with people, but in building those relationships, you don't know where it's going to go. I know it sounds cliched and rainbow dust and things, but like you don't know where things will take you. But like you don't, like it's because you don't know who does business with who has an idea, where things can go. And I think if you can plug yourself into that, have a seat at that table, be engaged, I think it pays dividends. So that's a culture that we try to build at the chamber. I mean, we're open to everybody, so we don't have that same one dentist and everybody else. The no homers club kind of thing. Like we can have more than one, but like everyone can have a seat at the table. But there's a culture we're trying to instill as well. Is we have 1,000 members. So, I mean, we tell people, like, imagine if the power of that network, if when you needed something, you look to see, because there'll be a chamber member for anything you need. So, if you need a business card printed, well, why don't you talk to this guy? You've met him at an event, or I can connect you with that person. Or if you're looking for a dentist, I mean, here's some more dentists. And I know these people, I go to this one here, I can connect you with that person. Like, just imagine the power of a local business community supporting one another and kind of driving traffic, driving support, driving business to each other. I think that's just a cultural way of thinking that I'm a big advocate for, so we're trying to instill that in our chamber as well.
Okay. Well, how would somebody join?
Yeah, so there's a 14-page application. No, I'm just joking. Yeah.
I
so
thought you were gonna say
Langley,
invite only.
Yeah, exactly. It's awkward.
Letter.
It's awkward. Yeah, I did. Langleychamber.com is where you go, and it's open. Our chamber's open kind of by law. We're governed by these ancient rules from government, so we're open to anyone who has an interest in business in Langley. So it's pretty. Our arms are open wide and cast open. But people can just apply online. There's a membership dues, but our model is to keep those quite low barrier, so we can have as many members as we can get involved. And for a community our size, not that we shouldn't be at 1,000, but we're bigger than we ought to be when you compare us to other parts of the region. And I think it's because our model is we want as many people in the tent as we can to build that network. So you apply online. There's some basic information. We figure, okay, what sector are you? What kind of business are you in? And then after that, we kind of connect in and kind of figure, what is it that appeals to you, and there's a spectrum, right? Like there are members who I see every day and hear from every day, and then there's members who I never hear from, or are members and I only ever deal with them once a year or once every couple of years. I mean, you got to think some of these manufacturers out in Gloucester who are making bolts or metal or rebar that's going to be shipped off to build a bridge somewhere in Peru. Like, they're not. What do they need a network for? Like that. But then they see value somewhere else. They care maybe about the advocacy stuff, or they care about some of the economic development work we do. Or everyone can see their value. So there's no right or wrong answer on that spectrum between getting really involved and just being involved for what the chamber does as our mission. But we're happy to kind of point people in the right direction, kind of bring them into the fold, and hopefully they have a good experience.
Yeah, well, I'm excited because I'm definitely signing up after this. I didn't know you had to sign up. That was the problem. So you should probably get everybody who films a video on their social media, be like, join below.
Yes, exactly. There we go.
Because every time I see those videos, I'm like, oh, I never saw it posted anywhere, or, like, how do I join? And so now I know. So that's exciting. I'll definitely get in there. And it's a good place for me to even meet some business owners that potentially, could come on here and share their stories, because that's ultimately, what the purpose of this is. And like being here, I grew up here since 2000, moved here from Peru, actually.
Okay.
Funny. That's why I laughed. But moved here from Peru and never left. Moved here to Langley, never left. And basically, I knew my way around Langley. I didn't know really what was happening. There was never really a direction or a website or anything that had everything that was happening in Langley or highlighting any of those businesses. And now they started to kind of come up. Places like Discover Downtown Langley. Now that there's also Tourism Langley. Yeah. So a lot of these businesses that are, focusing on highlighting local events and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's very still one-dimensional, where it's like a post. There's a picture, and that picture is up and down your feed in 5 seconds. Right?
Yeah, well, that's the challenge now. Is every communication channel is so clogged and full, and how do you find anything, and how do you cut through? And I know, talking to our businesses, I was just chatting with somebody at our dinner last night about just trying to get your message across in such a crowded space. And I think that's why you've got to have all these different touch points. Like, you can't, maybe in the past you could have done just one marketing tool and then in come the leads. I think, no, you've got to do this. You've got to do a podcast. You've got to do maybe some direct mail piece to a targeted area. You've got to do some event stuff and kind of do some FaceTime with people. Like, there's all this stuff you have to do, because I think everyone's inbox, I'm probably gonna have 50 emails by the time when I get out of here, because everything's just so clogged with communication pieces. So and I'm sure, how do I stay top of mind? So I think that's that kind of repetitive engagement, and that goes back to that home insurance example, or that thing. Like, if I see your promotion or your ad, or I meet you in a networking event and I don't need you right then and there, then it's the next time, and then the next time, and then that becomes top of mind, so that when I do find myself needing that, well, then now I'm not starting from scratch. Where do I go for this? I've got somebody who I've connected with, or who I've seen, or who I've read a blog about, or I've seen a video, and then that helps them find them, right? So I think that marketing thing, it's a challenge. So, and even us, I've got to put a join here now button on my stuff. So there we go. So there's always lessons to learn.
No, because I would have never known. But no, it's more so, when you're thinking about all these different avenues that somebody can use to promote their business. I found that the most effective way, anyways, right now, this is kind of like the hot topic, is these style of videos that are going to be pumped out from this podcast. The podcast is kind of like the background, the backbone, the solid. It's an hour long, right? So a lot of people aren't going to watch that. They'll probably throw it on 2x speed, and maybe they watch the whole thing, like I do. That's what I do when I listen to podcasts, or maybe throw it on at the gym. But this is one of those things where we can probably pump out about 15 pieces from this podcast into the small bite-sized content, videos, reels, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. And that's what people are watching now, and that's what is taking up people's mental space more so than a picture, because now where people are scrolling, they're not scrolling on their feeds, they're scrolling on videos, and the videos that they're watching are all these 15, 20-second videos. So now you have that placeholder there with this style of content that otherwise you wouldn't have been able to get unless you film the video like on your phone or something, right? But in an hour to film 15, 20 of those videos, it's kind of hard. So now I've been able to show other business owners how they can do that. And then by doing that, this pizza guy, we're gonna have this. He was kind of the first experiment. I threw him on my social media, TikTok, I had a lot of views. It fluctuates. There's some videos I get like 200 views, and I've had videos that did 1.3 million. Right? So but from this video, he received calls in Langley, Cloverdale, Abbotsford, and he's like, I've never marketed to you before. How do you even know where we exist? He's like, oh, I saw your video on some random realtor's social media. So that was my experience. I saw how it helped him, and I was like, hey, maybe I can connect with more business owners, do the same thing for them on a podcast, same thing with events, right? And highlight that in a way that, it'll kind of narrow down the gap of people that miss out on these events. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that is what ends up happening. And what happened to me being here those 20 years is I missed out on a lot of events just because, I wasn't able to see what was happening. I mean, realistically, I was probably younger, didn't care too much for them. Now I have a kid and I want to, enjoy everything with them. But yeah, no, that's why. Yeah, I think it'd be convenient for anybody too, right? Who has some sort of business that can collaborate with another. Like I was mentioning with Barley Merchant and Sky Helicopters, very unconventional, but together they could sell some sort of package, then and create a contest. So that same thing could happen with any industry. I've seen that often on Instagram and where people do like gift card giveaway, and there's like 4 different types of gift cards. Yeah. And you have to follow all 4 of those businesses, and that post gets thousands of likes, and they probably gain 200 to 300 local followers. Like, so it's very, very targeted. Yeah. Right. So yeah.
Look, and then you can leverage not just your existing network on something, but if you do a collaboration with 3 or 4 partners, well, then now you're sharing their stuff, they're sharing your stuff, and you're tapping into an audience that you didn't have before, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how these podcasts kind of thrived. I mean, that collaboration mindset has happened, I think, more often since social media came around, but noticing it a lot on podcasts and it happened with talk shows, right? So I don't know if you watch a lot of podcasts. What I noticed is there's always a tour that somebody does, a podcast tour, where they're talking about their next thing. And I want this to essentially be a stop for anybody who's doing anything in the area to come on here and share their story, so that then we can time it. So right before, that event goes down, we can put out this event, this episode, and then they'll get that traction from this other avenue. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this goes, but I mean, I need all the help I can get, and I think that'll be a very significant piece to be part of that community. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Definitely looking forward to that. But before we run out of time, I'm hungry. I don't know about you.
All right.
So we've had these guys on the podcast. They were my first guests, a very close friend of mine. There's a ton of pizza places in Langley. These guys do it differently. They have a different style of pizza crust, and I wanted to share that today because this is actually a gluten-free cauliflower crust.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I might have seen you say, "Oh, all right,
yeah.
let's
No, I'm game. Yeah.
No, it's funny because that's
like, we're out of time.
Yeah. Dan behind the scenes is like, "Oh, so it tastes gross." I'm like, "No, it actually tastes unreal." So threw you under the bus there, but you're gonna have some of this, and you're gonna realize that I wasn't lying. So, I have this 2 of my favorites, and one very controversial one that we've had on the show before.
Yeah, so we're pro ham and pineapple.
I mean,
right?
I am.
Yes,
okay.
Anyone saying is. Yeah,
I mean,
come on.
somebody. Yeah, I've had slight.
Sorry,
debates.
folks. If you're not ham and pineapple, you're not invited to the chamber. That I'll put out there.
Okay, perfect. So ham and pineapple, a friendly zone, and so ham and pineapple, they also don't have just like a regular ham. They have a prosciutto on there.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So high end quality meat, and then this one is actually a beef and blue cheese. So another controversial piece. Blue cheese, people not too fond of. I love it. So yeah, we'll have a test of both of these. We talked about this garlic sauce too. While you get yourself a slice, this garlic sauce is homemade by them. They have their secret sauce, and basically they're gonna kind of pull the Olive Garden and bottle it because they realized when people ordered their pizza, they would order like 10 of these extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are you ordering so many?
Yeah.
So they're like, people eat this with other food. So
see, now you got a whole new line there.
Exactly. So how's that one?
Very good. See, we want you for the taste like something.
It's a little bit
cold. Why wouldn't you want
but
pineapple? Why wouldn't you want blue cheese? It's flavor.
I mean, I've had this, but I've pretty much had all their pizza by now.
You worked your way through the menu, have you?
Yeah, because every time, it's like something different. It's not like the typical barbecue and like pepperoni and cheese. So every time I have an event, I get them to order, and then I kind of adjust their order. I'm like, they wanted a meat lovers. There were 2 meat lovers, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna find 2 different types of meat pizzas, throw those in there, so they try them. So yeah, everyone's giving me positive reviews, but
so this is the cauliflower crust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good. All right, I wouldn't have seen that.
It just tastes like a really thin.
It's a thin crust, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's a little bit lighter, so you can actually work afterwards.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
I'll pass you this one.
Yeah, we'll do a switch. There we go.
So, do you have anything that's up and coming with the commerce or anything like that with the chamber?
Yeah, so we've got next month we have our big State of the Langleys event. We're going to have both mayors come and do presentations and then fireside chats with me and about all their plans, all kinds of some of the stuff that we've been talking about around development and where we're going with the cities and kind of what the city and the township's priorities are. So every month we kind of have a signature event. So that'll be our May one. And then we've got some networking breakfast. We've got a mixer at SNL up the street here. We've just launched a women's network. So we have a Langley Women's Business Network. So they've got a steering committee that's going to be meeting next week, hopefully, to kind of start mapping out programming around for women in business. So that'll be hopefully another stream that gets added to our calendar. So there's always stuff going on for us, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I wish I opened up with that because where can they find more information on all those things?
Everything's at langleychamber.com. Our event calendar has all of our events. There's our news section has all of our news on government updates and the latest stuff that we're doing on the advocacy pieces. There's stuff around programs. There's some resources on there. So langleychamber.com kind of has everything that you need to know from us, and then follow our social, and we'll post stuff there as well. But there's every month we'll have an after hours mixer. We have a breakfast thing. So there's lots of opportunities for people just to kind of find that real estate where there's other business owners, other professionals locally from here in Langley who are looking to connect and make those relationships, right? So there's always stuff going on. Yeah,
that'll be. I wonder if that Langley Mayor's one, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
When is that one?
That is May 24th.
Okay.
May 24th, down at the cascades, the Coast Hotel. Yeah.
Oh, so that's a big one.
Yeah, so it should be. Yeah, usually our signature things are 100 or so people, and so we're hoping for that should be a little bit bigger than that audience. But yeah, so it'll be and it's a dinner, and everyone kind of comes out, and then we'll have both mayors, and they're going to do presentations from their side, and then we'll have some Q&A and some discussion on kind of what's going on, because they're both new mayors, kind of 6 months into their terms, so kind of get a sense of what the priorities are, where things have shaken out, and what's coming up for the cities.
Okay. And then, so to be able to go to that event, is that one exclusive to who's already in now, or can they? Because if I can, what's this? So May, because here's what I try to do. It's a little bit kind of close, but I try to pump out an episode right in time for a big event. So if that's a little bit close, but if I can, and we can get out there. To get this episode out there and people reach out, right? Would they be able to make it on, or is it kind of already last minute?
No, we can make that work. Yeah, and as I said, we always have all of our events. We have guest passes, so people can kind of for the day can pretend they're members and kind of get access to things. So yeah, that's always an option for people to come and try an event and do that. So we're happy to do that for that event, or for any of our mixers or breakfasts. It's always built in that if somebody's, hey, this looks cool, I want to come and check it out. We don't say no. We always have that opportunity to come and be part of the family for a day and check it out. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is just in case we can't get that one out, is there another one? Any other events that you're planning right now?
Yeah, I think
June or July.
Yeah, looking at I think for in June, I don't have my calendar with me, but we have every month there's an after hours like an evening mixer. So I think June is at Backyard Vineyards out at the winery there, and then the last Friday of the month we always have our networking breakfast, and it's usually at last few times been Horse and Rider down in Brookswood there. Those are kind of our networking events, and which would be a kind of a natural fit for somebody to come and try something out and check out what the chamber's all about.
Okay. Yeah. That's that one I can definitely have that, if not for June, then you have it for July, but. Yeah, I'll definitely try to make it out for the mayor one. That seems interesting.
Yeah. Well, drop me a line and we'll have you come out. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's have this last one.
Yeah.
I don't know if
so this is beef and blue cheese. You said
beef
right?
Yeah. So the blue cheese is the sauce. So it's not like the cheese is the blue cheese. That. Oh, pizza gets cold fast. Out of all the other food we'd had, everything is kind of mediocre.
So tomorrow, would you heat this up? See,
Depends.
I never. Yeah, cold. I prefer cold pizza. I think cold pizza gets better as it's cold. It's less goopy. So this is totally fine for me. Yeah.
Yeah. If it's gonna get goopy, then no, I wouldn't heat it up. Also, if it's the day after an event. And you're struggling, you probably won't heat it up either.
No, probably not. Yeah,
it's something about that.
That's one too many steps. I think
the flavor in the cold pizza, it definitely brings something out, and it gives you extra energy. I think that's what it is. It gives you
it's restorative, right?
Exactly.
Cures what ails you.
Yeah, so those are good.
Yeah, thumbs up on these. I haven't tried these guys out, so I will now. Yeah.
Yeah, give them a try. They're super affordable, too. At a huge event, we ordered 12. And, was it 12? It was a lot. I can't remember.
I think it was 13. I don't
There was a lot. And it was less than $200.
Yeah, can't do that. Yeah.
Which everyone's like, well, Domino's, you would have paid that for 5 or 6. So, and these are obviously smaller sizes. They were the full sizes. So, yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely go
good.
Try them out. Paradiso and Langley by the Costco there.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm still open to I'm having some other pizza reviews because I've had some people reach out. Emilio Finetti's has reached out already, and we've discussed them a couple times on the show, and a lot of times in the comments, everybody's always saying how Emilio's is the best.
Yes.
So
and they're a chamber member, so I want to come back for that one. And I know they do like I was chatting with them when they do the holiday stuff. So they got like their turkey and Brussels sprouts and cranberry stuff. Like that one you gotta try. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll meet them there because there's so many people who I've been in touch with, and it's been hard to go and see them before we do a podcast because realistically I'm tied up also. So having everybody at one event, meet and greet 5-10 minutes. You don't have to commit entire hour to sitting down before you sit down for an entire hour because that's what I find is just super time consuming.
Yeah.
So.
Or get Tim to get you some of his flatbreads. His pizzas up there are awesome. Yeah.
We had a feast.
Yeah, I
when
bet
he was here. He brought the flights. He brought like 2 or 3 different dishes. He teed it up really nicely.
Yeah.
He came and presented it beautifully, and then that's why now forever I'm gonna vouch for him because I'd been there a couple times before. But it's a great spot to go on a date night, and then you go across the street to the movie theater
right there. Yeah,
with a little buzz on.
Yeah,
makes the movie
makes that Mario movie a little bit better.
Oh yeah, no, that was a good movie by the way.
It was good. It was good. I wanted a bit more fan service. I wanted a little bit more of those Easter eggs that would trigger back 30 years ago. But it was pretty good. Yeah,
it definitely had all the characters are in there, and you're like, oh my god, that's that character.
Yeah, and you see in the background even the sound effects, like when certain things kicked in. It's like, oh, there's the music from whatever. So they had that. I kind of just wanted it to be a little bit more over there.
And was there a cameo by the original? Was that the dad?
That was the dad, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I thought I heard that. Or the grandpa or somebody who was at the beginning.
Well, in the Mario family or something. Yeah, exactly.
Because I heard that, and I'm like, that's somebody. I always try to dissect, why do they do that?
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
End? Like, such a random line.
Did you stay long enough for the post-credits thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't anything major. It was just I think Bowser was singing. I can't even remember.
Oh, well, then the next one after that, with the Yoshi bit. Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
Oh,
yeah, at the very end. I don't have the patience to sit through.
No,
credits.
But
yeah, I think there's like in the sewer somewhere. Then there's the green egg, and it's like,
I missed that.
What's happening in the next movie?
I missed that, and I sat there for a long time, and I still didn't see that.
You didn't commit. No. I'm gonna stay just until almost the end, then I'm gonna go.
Then until the lights come on. I guess I didn't stay till the lights came on.
No,
anyways, well, thanks so much for coming on.
I appreciate it.
It was great meeting you.
To chat.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how we can, collaborate here moving forward and see you at one of your events and hopefully bring you some more exposure with this. And from now on, if anybody ever has questions for me that it says, what should I do in Langley and everything, I'll just point them towards you.
Perfect. There we go. No, we happy to have them. I think it's a great community and thrilled about what you're doing to promote Langley. I mean, that's kind of right up our alley about kind of what we want to see. So it's great to see that. So appreciate the invite.
Yeah, no, thank you for making time.
Yeah.
And sharing your input on the pizza.
Yeah. Anytime. Yeah, we'll do that for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Take care.
And thanks so much for watching. So if you haven't already, subscribe and comment down below if you think I missed anything. If you're still here, make sure you click right here for any future videos. Just subscribe to my channel. And on this side, YouTube knows what you like to see, so it's recommending something for you right now. Just go ahead and click it. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cool.
Awesome.
Sweet.